The Will of the Many was one of my favorite books of 2023, but will the sequel live up to my expectations?
And the ending of this book, James really turned it up. I was like, oh, there's like not that much action happening, or, you know, it's not exactly what I thought it was gonna be. And then James was like, watch this. And I watched and I loved it. So I'm gonna need Mr. Islington. I need him to put pen to paper. I need him to put his fingers to the keyboard, something, because I need the sequel immediately. And so I'm so excited that today is November 12th, which means the sequel, The Strength of the Few, came out yesterday, and I'm so happy to have it on my Kindle. I don't have it physically because they're only releasing this cover so far, and that's clearly the inferior cover. This was the original cover that I have, and I would much rather prefer them come out with a cover that matches this. So I will be saving my coins until that happens. But I've bought it on my Kindle, and for the occasion, I've put on my favorite Kindle sleeve, okay? I'm not leaving The Strength of the Few high and dry. And I know what some of you guys are thinking, Brea, you're not a true fan of the book if you're starting it the day after it came out. Here's the thing. I have a bad memory, and so I needed to go back and figure out what actually happened in The Will of the Many. I remember certain parts, but not the whole thing. I clearly don't even know where the actual book is, so that kind of tells you where my mental state is. But Julie, and I'll link her channel down below, went and did a full 2-hour recap of the book, giving us all the details that we needed. That video was so well done. Julie, if you're watching this, if you ever come in contact with the genie, I hope he gives you more than 3 wishes, because you deserve so much more than that. Like, you really saved me with that recap, and I'm sure many, many others. I had to watch it a few times to make sure I caught everything, but now that I'm caught up, I'm ready to go. But before we start reading, I have a little social engagement. And if you've been here for a while, guess where I'm going. That's right, another concert. It's for a band called The Home Team. They're kind of famous on TikTok right now, but I'm so excited that I get to go and hang out with my friends. But when we get back, this book's about to get read. So I think for the first time in my entire life, I actually woke up early enough to read before I logged into work. And I'm so glad that I did. I only had about 20 minutes to read. And so I'm only about like 6 or 7% into The Strength of the Few, and I'm already really enjoying it. I'm enjoying where James Islington, or Islington, I recently figured out, kind of dropped us off in the story. And so for those of you who don't know, The Will of the Many follows a world where essentially their magic system is will, and that will is siphoned from human beings. And so they kind of work in like a pyramid where someone at the bottom of the pyramid would then siphon in their power to someone above them, and the person above them tends to have a couple people they're siphoning power from. So all the way at the top, someone could be ciphering hundreds of thousands of people, and they are just more powerful because they have more will. A lot of their transportation and things like that are also done through will. But then we have our main character, Vis, who is low-key living like a secret double life, we learn as the book goes on. But he is sent to a school to try to learn some information about someone that had died there in the past. And I will say I really enjoy Vis's character because I remember that he is a character that actually progresses the story forward. He doesn't rely on outside characters or third parties to kind of make decisions for him. While they are there to definitely help, I think he can do a lot of things on his own, which I just really appreciate. Like, he has his own plan and he's making things happen, okay? Which I feel like is a big critique I have for a lot of fantasy books, that they kind of just rely on coincidences all the time to get things done. But that's not necessarily the case for this. This is kind of a full cast. There's a lot of things going on, but I do remember the ending and the plot twist of the first book. And so in this second book, we are already kind of seeing what that storyline design looks like. And I am loving it. At first I was a little confused and a little jarred, but then I was like, oh yeah, that happened. And that's why the story is being told the way that it is. But right now we have met Vis kind of on the back end of that last event that happened in the first book. And I don't know how to like talk about this book without giving anything away to someone who may have not read it. So like going forward, just know there may be a spoiler or two if you haven't read the first book. There was one scene in particular in this like beginning half of the book that I could see it in my head as a movie. Like the second that I read this scene, I was like, oh, Mr. Islington is gonna make bank at some point if this is ever turned into a movie. Like it's, for whatever reason, it was kind of putting me into like a Dune space. So I'm interested to see like where the rest of this stories are gonna go. I'm also reminded of like kind of how violent this story is and that it doesn't really shy away from certain things. Essentially there was a dead man and he was brought back to life to be killed again. And I was like, oh, okay, I understand why now that you've explained it to me, but I wasn't expecting that at all. And that's me only being 7% into the book. I'm gonna continue reading it on my Kindle and my audio. I've been trying to just listen to it in my audio, but I've learned that I think for this book, I need to see some of the words. So I'm gonna try to make sure I'm balancing that. But I have a couple appointments to run. I also am gonna start my hair tonight. My braids are gonna happen. So I'm gonna try, even though I just said I need to look at the words while I read, for me to stay on schedule, I'm gonna need to listen to just some of the audiobook as I'm braiding my hair tonight. I'm kind of sad because I feel like I probably could have gotten another like 4 or 5 days out of this hair. But alas, I have a trip coming up in like 4 days and I'm not going with this hair. So black girl problems, but that's all right. Okay, so I finished my hair. Honestly, being able to do your own hair, gift and a curse, okay? Because my feet hurt, my back hurts from standing up for 14 hours, but my hair is ready for Japan and I love that. But I did get about like 35% into The Strength of the Few and I'm really enjoying it. I will say that I'm glad that I was only having to focus on my hair while I was listening to it, because it is an easy book to get confused by because of the way that the POVs are done. So we have multiple POVs from one character, trying to make sure you're acclimated to which POV that you're in at any given time can be a little tricky. But after a first couple of sentences, I'm like, okay, I know which POV we are in. I'm trying to avoid you guys seeing all the mess over there. And you know, I mentioned in my last clip that I forgot how much violence was in the book, and there was literally a few moments where I was braiding my hair and I literally was looking at myself in the mirror like, I can't believe that just happened. But I am really enjoying it, but I'm dressed because, that's right, going to another concert. To be fair, this one I did get free tickets to, which is why I'm going, but me and my friend are gonna go have dinner and then go to the concert. We are seeing Blake Shelton, which I'm kind of embarrassed to say I don't know a single song. And Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson is really the reason that I'm going, so.
Tell me now, tell me something, 'cause I don't know how this gonna end. Oh no. Tell me now, tell me something, 'cause I don't wanna be just friends. No, no. Yeah. Hear me out, like I make you do the craziest things. Yeah. I didn't mean.
Good morning, friends. And I feel like you can always tell when it's morning. My face gets so swollen in the morning, but it's morning. This is the second time for this video that I've woken up a little early to actually do something. And I think I finally understand why people who are productive in the morning think that they're better than everybody else. Because I'm feeling superior, I'm not gonna lie. I'm currently putting together my lemon cucumber water down here as I prepare to head out for work. But I did want to check in with you guys because the Janet concert, and I'm going to say Janet because even Blake Shelton knew he was opening for Janet Jackson. I was honestly so surprised. I felt like because this was a concert for United Way, I was assuming that she was only going to do like 4 or 5 songs, but Janet put on like a full concert. Like she had dancers. She was performing for an hour and a half. Me and my friend were talking and we were just saying like how some people talk about getting older like it's a scary thing, but like Janet is almost 60. And she's clearly more in shape than most like 25-year-olds. So love that for her. Got to hear her classics. So glad that I was able to see a great while they're still alive. Also, I forgot to talk a little bit about the other concert I went to, which was for the home team. They're so good. If you were born in like the early 90s and you're around the same age as me, I feel like the bands that performed at the home team, they kind of remind me of like All American Rejects, kind of Panic at the Disco, but like grungier. That's like the only way that I can describe it. But that concert was also really good. And I'm officially done with concerts this year. I did want to show you guys the merch I got though. So this was the first time I left with 2 pieces of merch because I originally got one for the home team, but then we heard one of their openers called Arrows in Action, and they were actually really good. That's the band that really to me sounds like All American Rejects, and their merch was just so cute. Look at that. And then the home team. And so here's the front with this little like cheetah looking devil thing, which I don't know how I quite feel about that, but I loved the back. It says, "I'm sorry, I'm being naughty," which is one of the lyrics for the band. So I thought that was so cute. But now that I've done all that talking about things that aren't the book, let's talk about the strength of the few. I am about 70% in and I'm still really enjoying it. And I think I had mentioned in a clip before that this is a main character that can move the story forward without the help of sidekicks. And I want to take that back a little bit, but I don't think it's a negative thing in Vis's standpoint in this point in the book, because it's the second book in a series and it's like, if you don't have friends, what do you got, you know? And so I do like that we're learning a little bit about the talents of some of the other people kind of in his circle. And I'm more of a plot focused girly, but I love when like the characters are also good. So I feel like the plot plus the characters in this are making me really enjoy the story. Because I'm 70% in at this point, I'm not sure where we're actually going to end up. I don't know if this book is supposed to be like a trilogy or like a 5-part series. I really don't know. So I'm curious to see where we end because there are 3 POVs in this story. So I'm curious, okay? But I feel like there's still a lot of like action scenes. There are a lot of new characters that we're learning about because of this like split POV that we have. And I think that's really fascinating because I definitely think that those characters are adding something to the story that we wouldn't have gotten if we were only in one POV. And I'll talk a little bit about the POVs towards the end just in case people want to continue watching this without being spoiled for anything. With all that said, I'm really enjoying it, but I definitely want to try and finish it today because today is Tuesday, the 18th, and I leave for Japan tomorrow at like 1:30. So I want to be able to finish this book and finish like the editing to have this ready to go so that you guys have something to watch while I'm in Japan. And I don't want to bring my laptop to like edit on the plane and stuff. I'm just not that girly. I feel like it's already embarrassing enough to try to talk to the camera in public. Editing my face when people can see behind me, it's not happening. But that's also why you guys saw me packing a little bit last night. And I had to like take a break and give up for the night because I want to pack just all my stuff in a carry-on and then put my carry-on in my checked bag so that I have an empty checked bag coming back because I know I'm gonna shop. And everybody says bring an empty suitcase. But because it's gonna be a little cold, all the sweaters are thick. Listen, I have to make some cuts for sure. So we're gonna do that tonight. We're gonna try to finish this book up today/tonight, edit in the morning. I'm getting overwhelmed just talking about it, but I believe in me. I hope you believe in me too.
So tell me now, can we find love? Can we go back to where we were?
Y'all, I finished the book. Barely in enough time because I definitely need to leave for the airport in like 30 minutes and I still need to edit this clip. But I feel like I'm gonna give this like a 4.25. I think this was a solid second book in the series. I feel like because of the multi-POVs, which I'm gonna talk about now. So if you have not read the first book, I thank you so much for being here, but we're about to get into some mild spoilers. So at the end of the first book, we realize that this is actually split into 3 alternate realities, or like 3 different worlds. So in the second book, we are following all of his POVs as he is in those different worlds. And so that's where some of like the new characters come in, and just some of these like really shocking revelations. As you guys saw, James Islington had me shook a few times, okay? And I liked it, but I feel like it could have went wrong. So I feel like there was a lot of like people dying, but then like not really being dead. And that's just kind of part of the story. And so the way this ended, we don't have confirmation that someone may not be dead, but I feel like I know where it's going. But speaking of deaths, there was a couple that had me shook in this story, but now it's like, I don't know if I can trust the author to keep them dead, you know what I mean? And throughout this entire story, they are telling Vish that he is the only person that can stop this impending war, and because he has like a certain gift that a lot of other people don't have. It's a lot of like government official things. It's a lot of like conversation, and I'm not gonna lie, because of the 3 POVs, there was times where I was getting a little confused, and I feel like the flow of the story was a little bit disjointed because of the way the story was told and because we're following these different POVs. I feel like I was able to follow enough, so that's why I'm not docking too many points off of it. And I will say about the POVs that there were sometimes it felt like there was repetitive conversations happening because this is finding out certain information multiple times because they're in different worlds. But as a reader, I feel like I appreciated that because there's definitely some information that I needed repeated to me so that I could actually grasp the weight of it and like really fully understand what was going on. But overall, I really enjoyed the book, and I definitely feel like it was worth the hype for me. I feel like there's always going to be some critique with like a second book in a series because usually it's just kind of like what I like to call a filler book, which is like it is just trying to get you from point A when you're initially engaged in book 1 to like whatever big thing is going to happen in point B. And so I feel like James Islington still did a good job of like keeping us engaged. I just feel like there was a couple moments where I was a little lost, and that's probably reader's error. But overall, I think it was a really good book. And so if you've read The Will of the Many, get to The Strength of the Few for sure. Or if you haven't read either and you're still here and you're hanging on through these mild spoilers, I definitely recommend that you read it. And one other thing that I did realize is that I didn't buy the physical book because I thought they were only coming out with this cover. And I was like, how dare they do that? You know that I want it to match my original cover. Turns out, like on the hardback, that this cover is reversible. And so on the reverse side of the cover is the matching set to the older cover, which I thought was just so smart to do. So I'm happy that I'm not left out on that. Now I'm kind of sad that I just didn't buy the physical book, but now I have something to put on my Christmas list. And if you made it to the end of this video, let me know down below, what is a sequel that you feel like really lived up to the hype and followed the first book really well? And leave a like peace sign emoji for like number 2, you know, like a sequel. And as always, if you made it to the end of this video, you are my absolute favorite, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.